Hello, brothers and sisters of like, welcome to my page. My page is my common sense, but I try to keep it down under the nitty gritty under 10 minutes. And if it goes over 10 minutes, that means there's something very, very, very important. And not important to liberals, libertars, people who believe in God, people like to smoke, people like to drink, people who like DMT, drugs. I had to take out ayahuasca because ayahuasca is actually good for you, okay? I thought it was a drug. So DMT is also, DMT is not good, okay? It's called didricylite methanol thilamine, okay? You know, I've seen it being used in those Congo wooded areas out there in the world. DMT, just look it up, okay? Because I don't know the terminologies for it. When I saw people using it as a form of escapism, and they saw all sorts of things, and their third eye opened up. But anyway, that's not what this video is about. If you use drugs in any kind of formation, okay, any form, then these videos are not for you. My videos are not for you. I'm very holistic. More of a Dr. Sebi fan and Jack LaLanne, okay, which if y'all don't know, just look him up. Jack LaLanne. He was way more healthier than Dr. Sebi, and he worked out and he was ripped, and they killed him because he was too healthy. He died of the same thing Dr. Sebi died. Something with the flu, okay? Bullshit. But anyway, this video is going to be about this God loves us. And I want to make this very clear that people don't understand what the fuck they're talking about. And they'll say something to me about something, and I say, hey, you know, I'm experiencing it firsthand. And they'll still say I don't know what I'm talking about. Right? It's just weird. It's just, you have to stay away from people like that. Because I hear the voice inside my head. And you guys don't hear it. So I think something's wrong with most of you. And that's the reason why I don't like people watching my videos, to get things misconstrued. If you want to consider me schizo, fine. There's different types of schizos. Just look it up. Okay? There's paranoid schizo, and I believe there's nothing wrong with being paranoid to a degree, okay? But you have to be very cautious every time you go out that door. But anyway, I digress here. If you have any comments, questions, insults, or roasters, you put it down below. If you have any comments, questions, insults, or roasters, you put it down below. And so, you guys got to understand the concept of God, okay? And a lot of you don't understand the concept of God, because when you was a child, you got brainwashed into religion, right? I knew when I was a child that God didn't exist, nor Jesus, nor the devil. Okay, I knew that at an early age because I asked them all to come to me. I was suffering. And then you got to think about, if you read the context of any religion, it's always a wicked God doing wicked things. They're not coming down to visit, like in the Mahabharata, the Hindu records. There was only one God that I read in the Hindu texts, and his name was Sara. Okay, and he had reigned over this planet for like 3,000, 6,000 years. And what happened is that he's the only one who came to this planet to dish out peace. And he had his own little adventures. His name is Sarah. And he's the only one who left the planet because the heavens opened up and then he left, okay? But please understand this very clear, okay? Y'all should watch the TV show series on Netflix, The Sandman. And there was one part in the movie, in the series, I don't want to blow it for you. But anyway, I don't want to mess it up for you because I don't like giving away spoilers or anything. But that part where the Sandman talks to him, of course, I'm not going to reveal anything. It made me think, and I tried to tell you guys to think like that, and your third eye should be open because you guys are not thinking constructively. Okay, like, if God is real, why can't he come see us? Okay, if the devil is real, why can't he come see us? You know, people think of the Antichrist, but that's not the devil either, okay? People don't understand what the Matrix is. You have to question God. You have to question everything. Could it be that we all are gods, and we came here on our own being because we know that everything eventually leads to boredom? Okay, just like the Garden of Eden. You know, that to me is all symbology. Boredom can kick in even when someone's living in paradise, and they will do bad things. They can get corrupted. And my question is like, you always have to have an constructive question. Why would God put that poisonous tree and remove the tree? Because it was a test. Okay, and you should know that if he knew the tree was in the Garden of Eden, he had no power to remove it, so they would get harmed. So people don't think like that. They just automatically believe that they're going to be saved because of their sins. But then you got to think like this, okay? Why would God not allow us to have our own time in paradise, to make a choice ourselves? Because people are just oblivious to constructive reasoning. Whatever reason it is, they'll try to make an excuse for it, okay? But to me, I'm not really religious because it's just too much of a fairy tale, and you can't see it anyway. Everything is subjectable. Everything has conditions, all right? Everything is subjectable, okay? Subjective. Everything is subjective, and everything has conditions, okay? And then when I try to argue people about this fact, okay, then they don't want to do any research on the fact that what I'm saying is correct, okay? So when I saw that clip inside the Sandman in Netflix, I always wondered why people can't think this way. What if God doesn't love you? What if you were God and you came into this world? What if an archon, which some people try to go far out there, say they trapped our souls and are using it? I saw that also in the video game called Asura's Wrath, okay? And what they're doing is using our suffering and our lives experiences as a form of a battery, because just like the Matrix, we are just batteries living in a matrix society, and heaven is not really thought of. Remember the part in the Matrix where Morpheus was asked by Mr. Smith, and he said that heaven, he's talking about heaven, it was thought about, Mr. Smith said. But you understand the reason why heaven should not exist for anything or anyone is because you're going to get bored anyway. You're going to self-destruct, okay? It's called boredom, and you start doing things out of the construct, and that's the reason why we came here in this purgatory type of world, okay? So, in short, God just says, hey, I'm going to break myself up into many different unlimited amount of types of personalities and types of genetics, genome structures, and psychology, and then this is why we are here today. You came into this world. So when you come into this world, you do get, they say, Sylvia Brown says that you get a chance to pick and choose different type of personality traits that you want to come before you come into this world, right? Okay, that sounds interesting, right? And God separated himself into multitudes of different atoms, which is called the God particle, okay? Because we are all the God particle. It's up to you to decide where you want to go and where you want to split yourself as to, because you can be everywhere at once. Time doesn't exist. It's just a construct to keep us in confinement. We should all know this. You are confined, okay, to an infinite space of time. But outside the bubble, there is no time. We're here in a form of limbo, and people come here all of the time. This is the heaviest, Sylvia Brown said it, this is the heaviest planet. And on the other side, all records are recorded, which is amazing. There's a giant ruby diamond of emeralds and rubies and amethysts and stuff. She said it's a room full of memories. And it's a great thing to think about. But what if that's not true? Everything is hypothetical. No one knows nothing, okay, all right? Because when people do know things, they either get disappeared, or they just basically are considered crazy, okay? Like if you create a new technology for all of us humans, the other beings won't want that because they're more superior, more smarter than us. We're not ready for that. We're still like children. So they'll try to take those individuals out. So that's why you keep things to yourself, right? But what if God doesn't love you because you are God, okay? Because I always ask God to come save me, and I even asked the devil to come save me. But the devil and God, they work together. Understand the Bible. Why can't God just destroy the devil? That's a question that people just can't fathom. They put limits on the power of God. They put limits on God's power, which is kind of weird and backwards and wacky. Okay, and I tell people all the time, use common sense, man. Think about it. You're putting limits on God's power, and you're trying to make justifications for all of the wicked things that God did. He killed millions of people in the Bible versus the devil, okay? So you got to understand that construct. If you just watch The Sandman, you understand how I feel about this video. But a lot of people are not very evolved. They can't think past their nose, okay? They're NPCs, so don't try to convince them. I'll literally have an argument with someone to try to prove my point, okay? So I'll try to say, hey, I'll say this is my anecdotal experience. This is what I always say. And do your own research. You can actually have backup to prove your anecdotal experiences are real. You can, but they don't want to hear it. Okay. They automatically are beta in their emotions. And you got to be careful of beta people in their emotions. It's very, 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 very important to stay away from most people. You cannot, if you're an intellectual individual, you're very smart, you have to stay away from people. You have to. My daughters know this. I said, hey, you can have fun, but you don't need to socialize with them, because the more you hang around people, you can't know your inner God. It's that simple. Okay. Everybody is God. Everything is God too. So nobody disagrees with that. Okay. But people would doubt and say, oh, we're not gods. I'm like, you're an idiot. Okay. You just didn't think enough of it. Think about all of the suffering. Think about all of the scientists that actually did studies on finding the God particle, which can be in almost every little tiny thing. Every substance has atoms moving, okay? They're conscious in a way, and unconscious. They're both innate and alive and dead at the same time. You don't know anything. Your mind is still limited. And this is why I tell people it's not good to be socializing. Get the answers yourself. You can only agree with me is if you have self-recollection. A lot of isolation, a lot of self-thought, okay? And once you do have these types of thoughts that this world is temporary and it's just a dream, then you can live your life more peacefully. Living in isolation can actually help you a little faster, but your urge to be wanted by people destroys your own inner God. You gotta understand, everybody's rich. If you just save your money and stop eating, you'll be living a longer life. I'm telling you, everybody's really rich. I'm rich too. My spirit's always told me, bring my ex-wife back here and you'll be rich, but I'm already rich. I'm already helping people up. I'm already doing the right things. I'm actually more rich being here in America than any other country, but the spirit told me to come back here. And now, if you see these portals, I recommend that you try your best to use your intuition, if it's wise to go in or not. I always said, hey, if I see a portal and I visually see it coming into my room, because whatever alien beings or other gods out there or deities that's out there that's sending you a message and you just ignore it, that's going to be on you. But what if it's a trap? The body's temporary. You just have to take a chance, okay? You shouldn't be attached to your kids, your families. You shouldn't be attached to no one. And that doesn't make me cold-hearted. And I'm just using a lot of common sense, okay? Because if you're attached, it causes a problem. That means you are seeking some sort of validation or some sort of love externally. And you don't need that because you already have that love inside. All right. But that's all I really wanted to say. I just wanted to bring that to your attention, okay? That, when I saw that TV series, Sandman, which it started getting terrible at the end, though. I can't stand it, though. I didn't like the ending. Just like The Blacklist, it started getting bad and worse because people are not creative enough to make an interesting ending. But anyway, watch The Blacklist, watch Breaking Bad, El Mino, okay? You Better Call Saul, watch Wednesday, okay? Netflix, 2025 peoples, okay? And people are talking about the world will end in the end of November. Oh, well. Okay, they always saying some shit, okay, to scare people. Fear it produces energy and also adrenaline, okay? So you have to understand that when children or people are in great pain, they produce a chemical which can actually be sensed off, can be found out by other things. You got to be careful of the word fear, okay? False evidence appearing real, which most people tend to believe in. False evidence appearing real. They don't know any better. They look at the sun and they'll look to a telescope. The sun is real, but their mind is so limited that it could just be an illusion, an infractory, image that keeps us thinking that we are here in the real world, which is really not. It's just like the Matrix. It's synapses throughout snapping, okay, while we're sleeping, okay. But that's deep thinking here, guys. If I said before, I love you all, but I despise the many of you. And you know how to find me, okay? Because I'm one of the indigo. And I said this time and time again. You guys got to wake up from within, not without, okay? Other than that, I'm not your average man. I'm not your Peter Pan. Y'all have a nice day, okay? Peace.